Small town. Damn, that's you strictly.
Ladies and gentlemen, this just in, halfway through the NFL season, Jameis leads the Browns to a win. The Heat unveil a statue for Dwayne Wade, and we are back to give you the real in sports. I'm your co-host, Small Town EP, joined by Wade Julian, live from New York City. I'm live in Atlanta, and you are now tuned into your number one sports talk show on the All Things Sports Network, brought to you by Small Town Productions, ticker up top. Brought to you by ESPN Bet. June, good to see you. I see you decked out in Colts gear. I know we're going to get into some NFL, of course, but before we do that, the Yankees force a game 5 in the MLB World Series, last home game of the season in the Bronx. But by a young man by the name of Freddie Freeman, man, killing us 6 straight home runs in a World Series game dating back to his days in Atlanta with the Braves. June, talk to me about everything that the Dodgers have been doing right so far through 4 games.
What's going on, man? I'm a little all over the place. I'm a little overwhelmed with emotion as far as with the Colts situation. We're watching a World Series, and the Yankees are down 3-0. Gutless, and they fought back real hard, and I had a lot of energy. I find it a little ironic that we didn't have a podcast throughout this whole World Series. I'm not going to say anything. I'll leave it up to whatever happened. I just find it a little ironic. Yankees go down 3-0. Nobody says anything about it. Here we are. You guys are still down 3-1. Series is still over. So we'll talk all about it. I just am very frustrated with the Colts situation, and that's kind of at the forefront. But I'll be the mature sports analyst podcaster and get to business first. Let me get back into my little excited bag because I'm not excited to be here today. I'm pissed off, and I just want to rant about the Colts front office and the decision making that's going on. But we got business to take care of. I understand. And the Yankees are down 3-1, as I said. I mean, you mentioned it, Freddie fucking Freeman. Let's start right there. That's the guy. I said it was going to be Kike Hernandez as MVP X Factor for this series, as Freddie Freeman was banged up. And he seems to be A-okay. What he's been able to do for this team and lift them and start games and finish them, I don't think that without his performances, we're looking at the same series. And now the Dodgers are outplaying the Yankees, right? Like they're just playing much better baseball than them. However, these spark hits, game 1, if we take it all the way back to Saturday night, game 1, in LA, I mean, Garrett Cole pitches a masterful game. He goes 6 1/3 or like 6 innings. You can't ask for more from him. Aaron Boone has to. I think Aaron Boone has to take him out at that moment. I think it's fine. I would love to hear your thoughts. I think he pitched a great game. I think the bullpen comes in behind him and does a great job for what it's worth. Until obviously, you guys have a walk-off home run blown save there. I would put that loss on Aaron Boone before I put that loss on any bullpen pitcher or even any lack of hitting because it was a back-and-forth, pitching duel. And that's what we wanted to see that. Game 1, we get a pitching duel. So we got some of the best bats to ever play this game, and we're getting a pitching duel. Jack Flaherty, Garrett Cole going at it. Until, Aaron Boone decides to, I don't know what in his mind wanted to, see the pitcher pop out Shohei. You get Mookie to bat. You figure let's bring in Nestor Cortez. Let's walk Mookie. Let's bring in Nestor Cortez, who hasn't pitched in over a month. Put him on the biggest stage on the road. You kind of setting yourself up, and you're also setting him up. And we saw exactly what what I thought was going to happen happened. And Kev would like to argue that that was the breaking point in the series, and that changed everything. I do agree that that was a huge changing, you know, factor in the series. But I wouldn't go so far to excuse the Yankees and say this is the reason you guys are down 3-1. If you guys didn't, walk Mookie and I, you got to be able to, especially, they say at this big age, at this point in the season, where you guys have gotten as good as a team you guys are, you have to be able to capitalize, or excuse me, bounce back and rebound from a World Series game one loss on the road. It's a tough loss. Now, what was tough about that loss, and the toughest part about that loss, I guess, to kind of take in, is the fact that the Yankees played an amazing game. That was one of the best games the Yankees have played, as far as pitching and defense goes, that they've played in months. And they ended up finding a way to lose that game. Hopefully, Boone doesn't survive, but that's neither here nor there. Going into game two, I mean, Freddie Freeman, does he start the game off with the home run? I think he starts the game off with the home run. Game three, game four, I mean, they're gonna drug test him, right? Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Because something's going on in the Freddie Freeman department. Nah, man. But I want to hear from the Yankees' perspective. I've been dragging it. I've been real happy, and my dad has been texting the group chat. My brother-in-law is upset because the Yankees are losing, and you know, I do want to hear some honest insight from a Yankees fan who watched all these games and has gathered his thoughts. Because I mean, EP, let's keep it honest. We ain't pod, bro. We ain't pod in a minute. It was 0-0. Mets got eliminated, and that was our last podcast. And now we're here at 3-1. And I'm just appreciative for the chance to get to talk about this while it's still going on with you here. So tell me some of your thoughts from games 2 through 5 that you saw, or just the series as a whole and what you're seeing.
Yeah, I think game one was the biggest missed opportunity. I'm not gonna put, you know, the, the Aaron Boone, or I'm not gonna put the blame on anyone like you were saying, but Aaron Boone as far as game one. I disagree with you as far as pulling Cole out of the game. I know 88 pitches. He was pitching into the mid 90s and hundreds as the season wrapped up. He actually had 13 games in the regular season where he pitched 90 plus. Of those 13, he won 9 of them, right? So I do think you have to let him go 90, 95, close to 100. Those 13 pitches that Holmes and Canley gave you easily could have just gave the Cole. He came to New York for a reason. And this at this point, if you're not having that conversation, honestly, with Cole, like, hey, I know you're averaging in the high 80s to mid 90s, but we're gonna need a little bit more from you, like tonight. This is game one of the World Series. This is quite possibly the biggest moment of your career, and we're gonna need a little bit more. If you're not doing that as Aaron Boone, you know me, I've been on the fire Boone train since the season started. So I think you might be let go just based off not having that conversation. In my opinion, it's I'm not Steinbrenner though, so that's neither here nor there. I think LA was gonna win game two because LA was gonna win game two, but I think game one was the missed opportunity. And I mean, hats off to Freddie Freeman. He's coming back from injury and balling, like looking like a brand new man. You know what I mean? Resembling, like we were just saying, back to his Atlanta Braves days where he was just hooping. Um, game three. I mean, what can you say? Walker Buehler puts on a masterclass, and a lot of people didn't expect it. I don't want to say I didn't expect it. I guess I didn't see it. Game one, first game back in New York. After a long flight, I'm sure it was back to the Bronx. They probably flew into Teterboro or something because that's what higher profile people do. And it just Walker Buehler puts on a masterclass in the Bronx, and he's getting everything by everybody, and it looks like the Walker Buehler before his last Tommy John, and things that no one thought was gonna happen. I mean, but any given day during the World Series, it's going to happen to you. And then we come to game four where honestly, I texted in a different group chat. I said, honestly, part of me just wishes that this was over already because like this is not good. This is not good for my mental health right now. Part of me wishes that this wasn't a series. This was like a one and done thing, and I'd be over it after a couple of days. You know what I mean? But that's not the case. We're in a 7 game series right now, and we forced a game 5 off of Volpe making up for his base running errors earlier in the game and hitting a grand slam. Like as he was saying, it was his dream. It's a lot of people's dreams. It could have been his sister's dream. I think his quote was like, "It's a lot of kids' dream to grow up as a Yankee fan and then hit a grand slam and the biggest game, closeout game, winner go home." And Judge, much better game yesterday. He got that little RBI at the end. He didn't swing and miss for the first time in all series, if I'm not mistaken. That's a little bit of light, you know. Game 3, I do want to shout out Verdugo because that was a moment. That was definitely a moment. It was silent. They had just started the "Let's Go Yankee" chants. It was silent in the Bronx. He comes up, 2 outs, 2 strikes, 0-2 count if I'm not mistaken, and it's silent. You hear his breath pause as he swings, and then just a gasp, silence until it's officially confirmed that it left the yard and the thing erupted. Did it give me a little hope in that game? Maybe, but it was the ninth inning, so it was like, man, this is, you know. I actually told my girl as I was walking out to walk the dog, I was like, yo, you can change this. I don't want to watch this anymore. And then I walked back into the Jazz strikeout right before Verdugo stepped up, and I was like, wow, this is great. Game 5, we got Garrett Cole back on the mound tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Back in the Bronx, last home game, Garrett Cole and Jack Flaherty again. You listen, Yankees. You did it once. Word to Garrett Cole. You had to win 4 games regardless. Do I see it happening? Probably not. No one's ever done it. 24 teams have been down 0-3 in the World Series, and 21 were swept. 3 were gentlemen swept. No one's forced a game 6 in the World Series after being down 0-3. I need you to not look at those stats. I need you to not focus on the fact that through 6 games, through 6 elimination games that Cole has started in, he's only won 2 and given up 8 homers in those elimination games. He's 2-4 in elimination games, giving up 8 homers over those 6 games. I need you to not look at those stats. I need you to pull one more out and send this series, at the very least, back to LA. Don't let them jump around in the Bronx. Don't let them jump around in the Bronx.
Hey, EP man, I think last night we saw. By the way, shout out to the chat, man. Shout out to Cardi. Shout out to Lou in the chat. I try not to take off, man. I try not to take off ever. It happens, but I try not to. Shout out to Cardi. And as far as Lou, he says the bottom of the lineup finally stepped up for us. I wanted to actually point that out. Austin Wells with some major pop. I mean, he was a foot away from 2 home runs last night. And you mentioned Volpe with the base running error. That was an odd play. And you don't get away with that when you're the Yankees, right? Because you guys have done this for most part of the season where, the announcers are calling you guys drunks on the bases. So it's at an all-time low as far as IQ and base running has gone this far. So that was just like another gut punch when Austin Wells finally delivers in a series where he's been non-existent. He finally gets something to go, and Volpe's stuck. He just gets stuck. I mean, I don't know. Thankfully, you guys end up scoring him in that inning, so it really didn't cost you anything. But then the next time up to bat, Austin Wells goes yard and he smacks it out the park. And during the broadcast, they were saying how Aaron Boone was sticking with him, right? And he's like, he's due for it. He's gonna pop. And that was when he hit the big double to center field. And then the next at bat, he smokes a home run. And so I think it's just a lot of credit due to Austin Wells for sure. But much like Lou said, the bottom of that lineup, Volpe coming through with, I think, 2 stolen bases. He had that grand slam at such a key time. And he had a Jeter-like, defensive play moment where he stole the show there. So shout out to, Anthony Volpe, ups and downs, and I think you guys love him, right? I think as New York fans, you guys appreciate a guy like Volpe because if there are any good defenders on that team, he's definitely one of them. So it's nice to see. Verdugo definitely gave you guys a lot of hope, or some hope, going into game 4 last night. After ending game 3 with the home run, I just want to say this. As much as I rag and troll and hate the Yankees, because I truly do, and I truly wish they would have got swept last night, and I do expect them fully to lose tonight. But you guys didn't quit. You guys are hanging in there, being pests. You still got some energy. You guys aren't just backing down from the Dodgers, because this Dodgers team, it must be demoralizing to play against them. And I saw this coming as far as early scores, high volume hitting. This is who the Dodgers are. But the fact that you guys can come in there and defend your home field and not go out like some whats. I gotta respect that. And shout out to the bottom of the order being the guys to really, really step up and win you the World Series game. Because Judge and Soto, I mean, they played better, but they didn't play good enough. And that's not the standard. That's not the standard. Judge is seeing the ball way too fast, and it looks very small. I do also appreciate the fact that the Yankees fans. Do you have anything else after this as far as World Series goes?
Yeah, just a quick
Okay.
shout out, and I laugh because you mentioned fans, and yeah, shout out to the most
Well,
like
well,
new, yeah,
real
all
quick.
right,
Let me just finish this. I do appreciate the Yankees fans for sticking with Aaron Judge, because remember this: in a time where it gets dark and you have a player on your team who's either the best player on your team or somebody that you expect to get to that position one day, it's important that in the highest of highs, you're their biggest fan, and in their lowest of lows, you support them as their biggest fan as well. I think it goes a long way for a guy's mentality, confidence, and future. At the end of the day, it's up to him in the mirror, right? Aaron Judge, in this case, has to look himself in the mirror and say, yo, bro, it's the fucking World Series. We're going to step up and win this or not? Are we going to hit the ball? Are we going to keep striking out? What is it going to give? By the way, they said Lou Gehrig had a higher batting percentage after the
oh
sickness
God,
than Aaron Judge does
oh
right
God,
now. But also, they said Aaron Judge's girlfriend was arrested a couple years ago, 2020, and her blood alcohol level was higher than his batting averages right now. But I do appreciate the support from the fans going in there, standing ovation for Judge, staying behind him, trying to rally him up, understanding that it's up to you and him at this point for him to try to see the ball better. And also, you got to give credit to that fan out there in right field down the line, fucking yanking that ball out the glove. Like, we playing defense over here. As a Red Sox fan, I hate it because it's like, I hate these guys. But nah, man, that's that dedication right there. You gotta appreciate that type of support.
I believe that fan's name is Anthony Capoblanco. He played hockey for Arizona State. Funny enough, I was
He's definitely a Tony for sure. For
hey,
sure.
I'm not gonna speculate on any affiliations
For sure.
that he may have with the last name like Capo Blanco. But yeah, shout out to like some of the most New York shit you can do. Like not it wasn't just fan interference. Like this is fan
No, this is
manipulation. Like
abuse. Mookie Betts feels violated after that play.
yeah, because honestly, the out is the out. It's gonna be an out regardless of what you do. But the only other thing that could have happened was like Mookie steals off on Jit, like in the middle,
Right.
live on broadcast. Like, bro, let me go. What are you doing,
Yeah.
bro? So shout out to that guy because that's the most New York shit you can see in a World Series Game 4. Um, yeah, that was my last thing on World Series. I want to take it over to football because I know you're anxiously waiting. And you mentioned quitters. Speaking of quitters, Anthony Richardson benched after essentially tapping out. Quite literally, pause and figuratively tapping out of the game. I didn't know that was a gesture you could do to your coach. That's pretty cool. Um, and then quoting that he was tired, which I can only imagine because I don't play professional football and those guys do a lot of running. It's a very high contact sport. June, do you agree with this Anthony Richardson benching for Joe Flacco?
Listen. I respect you as the host. As far as transitions go, I was gonna use the Yankees fans sticking behind Judge, and and lead that into Colts fans sticking behind AR because he's our quarterback. You take it to speaking of quitters. I do not appreciate that. That was funny though. But by the way, the head tap. I don't know when I learned this, but I did know that that was a signal. When it happened on Sunday, I'm watching the game and I see the head tap after he throws the guy off of him, and then gets 1 yard and takes a pretty big hit. He does the head tap, and I'm just like, fuck, oh no, like how many times does this guy come out the game for injury? Like how many games is it gonna be? Because I understand that that's the universal signal for substitution. Come to find out, he was okay. First things first, I'm glad my quarterback's okay. He's not hurt. But to understand that, he tells coach, I need a playoff in a crucial part of the game, at any point in the game, but in this crucial part specifically because of lack of stamina. Personally, just as a fan, just as a Colts fan, specifically as an Anthony Richardson fan, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world, but I'm also not a football player. I also haven't put in the blood, sweat, and tears in that locker room that they have. So what Quentin Nelson thinks, what Ryan Kelly thinks, what Michael Pittman thinks, what Zaire Franklin, DeForest Buckner, Shane Steichen, Chris Ballard, what those guys think is not going to be what I think. And I respect what those guys think in regards to the situation. I do see how it is completely unacceptable to come out of a football game as the quarterback. As the leader of the team, to say you're too tired to play should be unacceptable. Deserves disciplinary action. I'll put it like that. Now, the Colts are sitting at 4-4. We played Houston on Sunday for first place. Houston's down Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, number 1 and number 2 wide receiver. Collins will miss another couple weeks with a hamstring. Diggs has an ACL that came out. He got hurt during that Colts game. He's going to be missed the rest of the season. That's big. That's very big. The division is still winnable. We're down 2 games. We're still winnable. Quarterback play has been bad. Anthony Richardson specifically has been bad. Going by the numbers, if you watch film and you take the extra time to do your studies, you'll see a lot of throws that could have been caught. You'll see a lot of drops. You'll see a lot of, right there. You'll see a lot of, had you done this instead of that? All right. You also see a lot of, holy shit, what are we doing? I mean, there was an interception before the half inside of the 20-yard line. It absolutely cannot happen. And you know what, EP? Shane Steichen called that play.
Yeah.
He didn't tell Anthony Richardson to throw the ball to where he threw the ball, but he called that play in that scenario, knowing he has a second-year, damn near rookie quarterback who's played less than 10 games at this point of his career. He put him in that situation to mess up. Let's talk about accountability. Let's talk about unacceptable. What are we trying to throw the ball 50 yards to 80 yards downfield with 20 seconds left in the half with maybe 2 timeouts? That's coaching. So Anthony Richardson, he'll take the hit, throws a pick, absolutely can't have that, and it looks bad. It looks really bad. Now, you bench Anthony Richardson. All right, you know what? If this is a disciplinary benching, you can't do that. The locker room looks at you a little crazy right now. We got to go with Joe this week. That's crazy. Can't sub yourself out. Your linemen are dying for you on that O-line, blocking for you. You think they want to sub? Of course they want to sub. But that's not part of their job description to ask for a sub. So guess what? You get the demotion. But this is still your team. You just got to earn that back. And we got to see it in practice for a week or 2. But for Shane Steichen to come out, not have a team meeting and address this full on, but to address it to the quarterback and then address the team, I guess, as the day goes on, and some of the guys are finding out on social media. I mean, what is going on? What is going on? You have a quarterback who you drafted last year, plays in less than 5 games, gets hurt, fucks his shoulder up, misses the season. Comes in this season, mind you, general manager is on record, draft night, the press conference of the draft. This is a project. We can't expect him to be Superman in one night, in 1 year. We can't expect it in a couple weeks. This is going to take time, patience. You're preaching that. Because guess what? The fans understand, you know what? There's some new hope. 2018, Andrew Luck fucking takes us to the playoffs. We haven't seen it since. He retires. We got Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
The list goes on, by the way. Here we are now, 40-year-old Flacco. And I hate to feel like this. Mind you, I put this on just to take it off, by the way. I got caught up in the talk, but I definitely have to show my remorse and
He tossed it.
absolute disgust with the organization. Absolute disgust. And again, I told you before the show, I can go for an hour about this. And I'm going to cut it. Give me a couple more minutes. But we went through a quarterback purgatory after not being able to draft one for year after year. I also, mind you, EP, before I met you, wanted to draft Jordan Love. Shout out to Jay Boogie. Justin, if you ever watch this or see this, tell the people how bad I wanted us to draft Jordan Love so he could sit for a year and come in and ball because he has arm talent. It's neither here nor there. I'm happy with Anthony Richardson. But this decision to bench him and come out and say Joe Flacco is our guy for the foreseeable future. I mean, we're not going to quit on AR, but we are. And Joe Flacco is going to be our guy. So what now when Joe Flacco loses 3 straight games? And as a Colts fan, it sucks to say this, but I kind of would like to see this happen. I would kind of like to see a landslide right now. Like maybe the locker room not playing 100%. Everybody's on a different page. Joe Flacco starts to struggle, getting hit. Let's see what happens now. Oh, now you need Anthony Richardson back? That's funny. So I just
business decisions.
You're setting yourself up for failure because the worst that could happen is that Anthony Richardson plays out this year, does as bad as he possibly can, and you say, you know what? We appreciate you, big fella. We tried. We just can't continue this. You don't show us enough. And we saw 16 to 17 games of it. But 10 games for his career, and you're going to go with Joe Flacco because Joe Flacco gives you, quote, unquote, the best chance to win football games right now. Joe Flacco couldn't beat Jacksonville. That's a 2-win team. Or did they only win 1 game this year? They're a 1 or 2-win team. What has Joe Flacco done in the 2 games that he started over Anthony Richardson due to injury that showed you, wow, man, why is he on the bench? Why haven't we put this guy in since week 2? What has shown you that? Nothing. And a lot of guys in the locker room, Josh Downs, our best receiver this season, he's saying, I think everybody's overplaying the situation. Like, I get that he asked and you can't do that, but like, damn. And Michael Pittman found out about the coaching quarterback decision over social media. So there's a lot of, it doesn't feel like this all happened as a unit. Zaire Franklin, captain of the defense, says Anthony Richardson, he didn't lose the locker room. He's still fighting for him too. But he understands that this is something he has to get past because he messed up. You got a lot of the media there, Anthony. You can't say you're too tired. Yeah. And I think his charisma is, part of why he lost his job. Because when he said it to the media, he said it as it's no big deal. I don't know if he comes out and he's like, listen, I was too tired and I totally understand that that's unacceptable. I'll face my teammates in the locker room right after this. I don't know. But he came off and said it as if it was no big deal. It rubbed a lot of people that they don't even play for the Colts organization the wrong way. Like guys on Get Up, former NFL execs, former NFL players, Pat McAfee. And Pat McAfee really, really disappointed me.
Yo, he tore him up. Pause. Like he
is an ex-Colt, first of all. And he also is a huge fan of Anthony Richardson.
He had him on the show.
Yeah, and he also understands what we have to do, for this thing to work. Like Anthony Richardson has to just get the reps. For you to rip him a whole new asshole on the huge platform you have in Indiana,
Facts.
that don't sit right with me, bro. And I love Pat McAfee, right? And to me, being upset about a situation is one thing, but understanding what your voice does, and this goes to like the Jaylen Brown speaking to Stephen A. Smith and confronting him on his own podcast, saying, "I don't know why you said what your sources told you about me and my character on your show." Stephen A's like, "Bro, I didn't say I agree with it. I didn't even say it. I said sources are saying this." He said, "I understand that, but your platform is too big, and you have too much of a responsibility to say something about me that you don't even believe yourself." And I think the same can be said here, where Anthony Richardson is a 22-year-old quarterback with less than 11 NFL starts and 13, college football starts. For you to just go on your show that millions of people watch on a daily and give your opinion as strong as you do, I feel like at this point people have to agree with it. You know what I'm saying? And the influence is too high. So I'm just disgusted with the Colts organization right now because we finally got a quarterback who he isn't incompetent. I mean, you look at his numbers; they don't look pretty. But Josh Allen's rookie year, game by game, as far as like to 11 starts next to Anthony Richardson, damn near identical. It doesn't have to look pretty at this moment. We just need to see progression. And at this point, it feels like this could be another Bryce Young situation, and we see how that's going right now. So just overall hurt, overall pissed. Now I don't know what I want. Do I want the coach fired? Am I still on his side? I thought I liked him. The GM who I loved 4 years ago has just made me kind of question his whole MO as far as going and getting picks and not spending money in free agency. I mean, are we a win now team? Because then we should be trying to buy at the deadline. We should have gotten, other guys on this roster with the $25 million in cap space we're just sitting on right now. If we're a win now team, and started Joe Flacco from week one. But that wasn't the case, and we knew that. And it's all on record as far as interviews and what coaches and GMs have said to the Colts about this point about the Colts. So what changed? And if you think that tapping out is the end all be all for his career, I can't respect that. So I'm done. I'm done with the Colts talk right now. I was planning to go to the Jets game, and I'm questioning that. I don't know how I feel about that.
Mm. The Pat McAfee, I actually watched it and I was like, wow, like live, and I was like, this is kind of a lot for just even for ESPN. I'm like, this is a bit much. I know they let you bend the rules a little bit over there on that show, but sheesh.
Yeah.
I do think that Michael Parsons got to shut the fuck up. Like you as a player, you got to shut the fuck up, bro.
Yeah.
Like you can't be be a player on one of the worst teams in the league right now, and like down like down talking another player like that. Like that's not cool. That's not something that you as a member, I guess, as a half-ass member of the media, I guess, should be able or should feel, I shouldn't say able because freedom of speech, should feel comfortable speaking on at all as a current player.
And to that point, Michael Parsons, on the day that he wants to criticize Anthony Richardson for tapping out and this situation, guess who his guest is? Don't guess. It's Trayvon Diggs. This is a guy who, after the last game he played, comes into the media and tells the guy, "Why are you tweeting about me? What do you know about football? Talk about something you know." And you saying, and he has some snarky ass remarks, some slick ass response about a reporter questioning his effort on a play from the game against the 49ers.
That we have tape on, that we're watching live, that we are able to
Makes sense, but yet Trevon Diggs has comments about Anthony Richardson's situation. I can't make this up. I can't. And so yes, in this new age podcast era, NFL players or athletes with their own platform, I love it. Look, Draymond Green show, very entertaining. But bro, ain't nobody trying to hear the guy that was just crying to the media talk about somebody else's issues. Fix your own issues. And nobody's trying to hear anybody from the Cowboys talk about anything.
let Daddy Jerry do the talking for you, Micah. That's all I got to say about that. You heard? I will say, obviously, totally unacceptable, as you were saying. You can't just as a leader of your team, where like you were saying, your O line is out there dying for you, and it's unacceptable. You gotta lie to the media. Honestly, you might have to lie to coach a little bit. Like, I got a quick stinger. I just need a second. Give me a play. Get Joe in there real quick. And Joe played. Flacco played what? One play, two plays.
Yeah, I mean,
What at that point? If I'm not gonna hold you, if you're that tired, hey, if it's a pass play, bro, check to a run. Check to a run twice. Check to a run until you're punting. Who cares, bro? Like, stay
yeah,
on the field. Stay
yeah.
on the field. But hey, man, we got a plethora of very interesting matchups this week. I want to start with Thursday night, tomorrow night's Halloween game, where you got the Jets and the Texans in New York City. The Jets are 0-2 since Davante Adams joined the team, and this past week's loss looked very, very, very disappointing. After reports that Davante Adams, after the first game, addressed the entire locker room saying, "Hey, this sideline looks dead. Y'all ain't got no energy. What's going on over here?" Which is a whole other topic, if you ask me. That a brand new player has to be the one to rally the troops, and not maybe a veteran 4-time MVP is able to do that. But hey, neither here nor there. Now, Houston missing number 1 and number 2 receivers, as you were just saying. Diggs out for a season, Nico Collins out for a couple of games. Is this the game that the Jets can pull off, June?
you know, I think the Jets can, and the key to me is just Joe Mixon. If they can minimize Joe Mixon, there's a chance. Because you have to take advantage of the opportunity you have in front of you. I mean, you lost 5 straight games. I don't know Aaron Rodgers led football team that loses 5 straight games, especially with the, the roster they have. And we hear this, Damian Woody's been saying this for 2 or 3 weeks now. Get up. This is a roster. It's not a team. They got to play like a team tomorrow. It's Halloween. Pull out all the stops you have, man. This is a must-win game if you're the Jets. I mean, going 6 straight losses, 0-3 since Devontae, it just if things haven't hit the fan yet, I mean, that's insane. Pride, stop the run.
Yeah.
Stop the run. If you can stop the run, we can see a game where Aaron Rodgers can outplay C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is coming off of an 86-yard game in Lambeau Field. He's coming off of a game where he struggled in Indianapolis. He didn't look like the rookie of the year. C.J. Stroud didn't look amazing every play. And the defensive line for the Jets has to get home. They have to get home. The line for the Texans has been atrocious the last 2 weeks. They're giving him no time. They're also not 100% healthy. You have to take advantage of the health issues the Houston Texans are facing right now. The Colts weren't able to take advantage and get first place in the division, and now we're fucking backup quarterback is in, and I don't know what to expect. The Jets have lost 5 straight games. There is literally nothing to lose tomorrow night. You're at home. It's prime time. It's a holiday. You got Nico out. You got Stephon Diggs out. I mean, if the writing on the wall for the Jets to win this game ain't there, I don't know if they win another game this season. So I would assume that the Jets do muster up and figure it out. Because 5 straight games, there has to be some sort of like, I can't do this anymore, right? And especially when you look at, we're not talking about the Carolina Panthers. This is the New York Jets with guys headlining their roster like Aaron Rodgers, Hassan Reddick. Well, he's new, but Aaron Rodgers, Sauce Gardner, Devontae Adams, Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, just to name a few. And so figure it out, New York. Figure it out.
Divisional game in Buffalo. Miami is headed up to Highmark Stadium. June. Miami
Josh
hasn't.
Allen, don't ask the question. Josh Allen is the father of the Miami Dolphins. Ever since Tom Brady left New England, Josh Allen came in on some fucking, what's his name? Joaquin. By the way, Giselle is having a baby by that man that she left Tom Brady for. And so this is basically the same scenario where Tom Brady leaves and the next dad steps in. And Josh Allen happens to be his name. He lives in Buffalo. This game is going to be, I believe, in Buffalo, right? The first
In
game was in
Buffalo,
Miami.
yeah, they
He's on
haven't.
the brother. brother, they lost to the Cardinals last week. Tua's back, I get it. They lost
Hey,
to the Cardinals.
so nothing about Tua back 28 points season high gives you any any
I thought it
hope.
was 27.
20. I'm sorry, 27 was 27.
I think they lost 28-27. Listen, this Dolphins team is bad. They were, the Jacksonville game, that's a play away from losing that game. And then they had another game. I forgot what it was, but they were like another one play away from. They're almost a winless team. They're this close to being a winless team, and they're not. So, yes, it's neither here nor there. But we're seeing what's on tape.
Facts.
And what we're expecting going forward. I mean, the Bills are one of the best teams in the league, and they're hot. And Josh Allen is playing like an MVP this year. What about what the Dolphins have done since Tua's left and his return should convince me to believe that Josh Allen is going to struggle to the team that he never struggles against, especially at home. Bills the cover.
Oh, Bills with the cover. Bills with the cover of a 6-point. Yeah, oh, for sure. Bills will cover a touchdown on them. Miami hasn't beat Buffalo since the 2022 season, a game in which Tua had to throw for 500 yards and Tyreek had almost 200 yards receiving.
Do you know when Tyreek last scored a touchdown? Because I don't. I forgot he played for the Dolphins. Jalen Waddle, maybe? I forgot. I didn't know that they were system wide receivers either, which is crazy.
They haven't won in Buffalo since week 16 of the 2016 season, an overtime game in which Moore had 233 yards and Ajayi had 206 yards rushing. It's not looking.
That was the Obama era, Obama administration, if I'm not mistaken.
Yo, Obama administration is crazy.
Matt Moore.
Hey, Bengals still winless at home. They got the Raiders coming into town this week. Can they get their first one? Got to get this first home win.
I mean, Philly came and beat them down last week. Philly is the team that we need to start talking about on that uppity up, winners possibly of their division this year. Obviously, the Commanders with gut-wrenching win against the Bears and a Hail Mary. I mean, whatever. But
yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
We know the Eagles are a good team, and they're putting it together. They're looking like they're figuring it out. Nick Sirianni has had his ups and downs in Philly, but winning cures all, as we say, as everybody says. And I say all that to say, the Bengals, they're just having a tough year, man. It's tough. They're not playing up to standard. Can't win at home. Philly goes in there and as good of a team as they are, and put that work on them. That being said, this Las Vegas Raiders team has been a joke for the last few weeks. I'm not sure how much longer Antonio Pierce will be the head coach over there.
Ouch.
And I don't know how much longer, certain guys like Max Crosby or the other big names on that team. They just signed Christian Wilkins last year or this year. He gets hurt, missed the season. I don't know how much longer these stars are going to be on that team because when do they realize, we need to go through a full rebuild? Just go get Shador this year and just start fresh, man. The Raiders, I don't expect the Raiders to win more than 3 more games for the rest of the season based on what we're seeing for the last few weeks out of their quarterbacks. Aiden O'Connell getting hurt, Gardner Minshew just doing whatever out there. Bengals lose this one, though? Well, now, where do we start looking? Is this a Zach Taylor thing, right? Are we gonna cut his leash a little short? Are we gonna start pointing fingers? Because this ain't Joe Burrow's fault, Jamar Chase's fault. It ain't that simple. So they better win, but I do wholeheartedly think they'll beat the Raiders at home this week.
Cincinnati -7. Vegas is asking them to cover an entire touchdown with the extra point. We talked about it in the intro. Jameis Winston did lead the Browns to their second win of the season. They now have the Chargers at home this week. Does Jameis double down, June, with the unwavering faith in the Lord at home this week?
Hey man, look. Who was it that loved that one verse? I can do all things through Christ. And shout out to it because man, it's true. You can. You know, if you win with God, God will win for you. But yeah, like Jameis is just having fun, and I think that a lot of people forget about football as being a fun thing to do, and it has become like total job responsibility, livelihood, and I get it. I'm not an NFL player. I didn't play high school football, so I'm not gonna sit and talk about what guys should do or how they should look at it. But I listen to a lot of sports talk. I listen to a lot of podcasts, testimonials, things like that. And one thing that I always hear is that football is easy. The game of football is simple. We make it hard. We think too much. We try to make problems that ain't our problems our problem. Do your job, handle your one-on-one, your responsibility each play, and the game of football should be something that's simple and fun. The way it started, we all fell in love with football playing, touch, tackle football in the neighborhood, throwing the football with our pops or whoever. However you first came onto football, it was fun. And for a lot of guys in the league, I mean, Patrick Mahomes looks like he has fun playing football still, right? There's a lot of guys in the league that still look like they have a blast. And those are successful guys too. The guys that don't look like they're having fun, it's like a little complicated. And those guys trying to make the roster, everything's a little sped up. Just got to slow it down. And for Jameis Winston, I think that he understands that. And he's so mature and he's so cool, calm, and collected about himself and who he is that he doesn't have to worry about outside noise. He's thrown 30 picks in a season. He's thrown for 5,000 yards. He's thrown for 30 touchdowns. He's won a national championship in college. He got embarrassed against Oregon in the Rose Bowl. Like, he's had so many ups and downs. I mean, from stealing crab legs to not even being funny. Like, Jameis Winston has had a hell of a career.
So
and
I thought they were
give
free.
credit to I got to give a lot of credit to him, man. I think he's at a point right now where it's ball. What's my job on this play? And I think Deshaun Watson is one of those guys who let it catch up to him. And we were seeing a lot of mental lapses. We were seeing a lot of unhappy play, right? When you're not happy doing what you love and you love to do this, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be loving. You're not going to get out what you think you're getting out of it. So to say all that, I say yes. I think Jameis Winston leads this Browns team to a victory this Sunday, back-to-back wins. They should have lost last week, and I know Lamar Jackson is pissed off at, a pissed off pocket go around. Rashad Bateman dropping passes, Kyle Hamilton dropping the game-sealing pick. I mean, the Browns had no business winning that game, but they did. You know why? Because they have a quarterback who has unwavering faith in the Lord. And that's what's going to win. So let's leave it up to God this Sunday. Jameis, go Browns.
Hey, speaking of unwavering faith, a lot of people in Washington screaming "Hail Mary," as they say, and I mean Jaden Daniels with a rocket of a launch, and I love the snippet I saw of the guy, walking out of the stadium and just telling the TikToker like, "Yo, I think we should have won this game." Mid play, stadium erupts. He's like, "I told you, I told you."
Yeah.
Oh man, hey, listen, they haven't swept the Giants since 2021. That's Tyler Heineke and Antonio Gibson era. Who are they going to sweep them this year? 6-2 versus 2-6. Giants also winless at home.
Absolutely. Giants can't seem to figure it out. And we'll talk about the Giants another time. Lou, if you're still watching, shout out to you. It's no hate. It's just why. They've got a lot of things to figure out. On the other side, I mean, this win has had to be like the biggest confidence boost. Washington's supposed to be sitting at 5-3 right now. Caleb Williams beat Jaden Daniels in the Rookie of the Year showdown. Like, the narrative is completely flipped. I mean, Jaden Daniels is the lock for Rookie of the Year. That was the moment, and he did it against the number 1 overall pick. Like, now you walk with your chest up in the next week, like, we playing at who? The Giants? Oh, yeah. That's another dub. So, obviously you can't play down to your opponent. You got to take every opportunity head on. You got to understand that this is a pro football sport, and everybody's good enough to win on any given Sunday. But this ain't that movie, right? We've seen what movie this is, and
Yeah.
it's actually not even a movie; it's a show. It's the Daniel Jones show. Who I wish at this point Brian Dable was the coach of the Colts, because I mean Anthony Richardson would still be starting, because clearly he don't know how to bench somebody. But all that being said, man, Giants got so many things that are going wrong for them this season, and
Yeah.
I don't see a way that team playing the way they did without a win at their home just goes and beats the rookie of the year in this Washington Commanders team that's been playing really good football all season. Granted, last week they struggled, and the Bears, who have a really good defense, um, put some pressure on Daniels and made him. He showed he was a rookie, but Daniel Jones is not the guy that you want when it's time to duel,
Yeah.
back and forth. So I'm gonna go Washington Commanders get their first sweep over the Giants. You said since when? 2006?
21.
Oh, 21. Okay.
Yeah, a couple years, 3 seasons, 3 seasons. We just spoke about that Cleveland Browns team that, edged out a win against Baltimore. Baltimore at home this week after that near experience, after that close loss, hosting the Denver Broncos that beat Carolina last game by 14 points. 9.5 point favorites. The Ravens are. It's going to be a throttle. Lamar Jackson is going to take out his
Yeah.
energy on that Denver secondary, I would imagine. Anyway, June, Lions Packers. Lions 6-1, Packers 6-2. This is at Lambeau Field, 4:25 Eastern Standard Time. You can catch that on Fox. What are you expecting out of this powerhouse matchup?
Man, this is gonna be some nasty football. Like, the Lions are the most physical team in the league. I don't think that's a question. The Packers, I don't know them to be the most physical team in the league, but they're in the best division in the league, and their record speaks to excellence. Something They're doing something right over there, and whether you think they got to be as physical as the Lions or not, they figured out a way to get 6 wins out of 7 games they've played so far, and or 8 games. Are they 6-2 or are they 6-1?
They are Packers are 6-2, Lions are 6-1.
Josh Jacobs has been a great addition over there, and I think the run game is going to be a big thing, right? Ultimately, I'll say this: I got the Lions. I think the Lions are the favorite, the best team in the NFC right now, arguably the best team in the league, probably behind the Ravens. Chiefs haven't lost yet. It's I don't know how. It's kind of crazy, But they're playing as a top 2 to 3 team right now in the league. The Packers, as explosive as that offense is, I don't know that they're going to be able to, chuck that ball downfield all day. And what I will say is, this will be the game for me to see, like, do the Lions need to go out and get another pass rush in absence of Aiden Hutchinson? Because if Jordan Love is able to stay back there with time and start delivering those balls, down the field, it's going to be a long day for the secondary, which they have a good secondary, the Detroit Lions do. But Jordan Love is a great quarterback, and if he has time, that's all he needs. So, are the Lions going to be able to get home without Hutchinson? Is something I'm going to be looking forward, and I'm looking forward to it more so now because this is a divisional game here, and this means a lot. So we're going to see everything from these Lions. So that's kind of something I'll pay attention to. Ultimately, I got the Lions winning a close one. Can't wait for part 2.
There it is. There it is. A couple other matchups that are in there. I know that the Colts Vikings, that's a Sunday night game, and the Bake Show travels to Kansas City for Monday Night Football coming up. We'll speak more about those on Sunday evening. Now, NBA opening week, as I mentioned, Dwayne Wade gets his statue unveiled. Dwayne Wade Boulevard is also unveiled in front of the arena. June, Talk to me about some standouts this week. And there's a lot of matchups tonight. Tell me if you like anything tonight.
Hey, we got Heat Knicks tonight, man. We got Heat Knicks tonight. It's the first one of the season. I'll be talking to Brill. Shout out to Brill, Breeze, Sean, Mora, the gang, all the haters and trolls who follow me on Twitter, and I follow them back. Shout out to all of y'all, Nick and Nader. I'm gonna be talking my shit tonight. I'm excited for this matchup because we're getting to see a new look Knicks, right? Karl Anthony Towns. He's a guy. This guy's a player. Bam Adebayo, somebody who's struggling this season so far. Can't get things off the ground just yet. The matchup I'm excited to watch tonight is Jalen Brunson versus Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier is back in the starting lineup. He's back healthy. Not dealing with a neck injury. Terry Rozier, the last time the Knicks played the Heat, it was a Terry Rozier game in Miami. Let's see if we can double up. Halloween, tomorrow, Scary Terry. I'm just saying, it's all kind of lining up. Now, as far as like more serious basketball take, Jalen Brunson is a fucking problem. This guy you can't contain him. You can't expect to stop him. You just hope to sort of slow him down. I don't want Terry Rozier to go back and forth and try to score with him every play, but I want Terry Rozier to be able to take control of this game by playing really good defense, taking quality shots, and getting everybody else involved, as he has been so far this season, while his guys, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, who should be, at the front of this thing, and probably will tonight because I know that there's an extra pep in their step when they play the Knicks. But as it is right now, Terry Rozier has been the guy making us go. So I'm all behind Terry Rozier. All pause needed. Have it. But I'm there rooting for him to have a big night tonight and with a big responsibility, and that's Jalen Brunson. Last night though, Luka Doncic hit a big dagger against Anthony Edwards and those Wolves.
Talking that
He
shit.
was talking that shit. But Anthony Edwards went and exploded for like 26 in the first quarter or something like that. He set a target center record, hit 6 of 8 threes, 10 to 12 from the field. I mean, this guy is a star, and the league just doesn't know. Like, we know. That's the thing. We know, but we don't. Like, we don't know. And I love this because, say Anthony Edwards becomes the next LeBron, Kobe-esque, type of player where he goes on to win final after final and MVP after MVP and dominates the league, right? In his own realm, not to literally compare him to Kobe and LeBron, but that type of player for the NBA. We knew that Anthony Edwards was raw. We knew he was very good coming out of Georgia, and we watched him have an amazing freshman year. But there were some questions. There were some ups and downs. Can he shoot the ball? He has come in this league and just shown up. Like what we expected from Jordan, Kobe, LeBron coming in this league and taking over, it was like, from college, from high school, we're expecting this. And not to say Anthony Edwards is a 5-star, you know what I'm saying, coming out, but he went to Georgia. We wasn't watching SEC basketball out of Georgia for real. We want to see Anthony Edwards in a pandemic year. But he just has been able to take all of our attention and swirl it up and say, this is who I am. And I know some of y'all just getting here, some of y'all been down, but this is what I've been on. And he's just putting the world on notice that, look, bro, you could call Wembanyama, you could call Shea Gilgeous, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum. These are guys, John Morant, who have the face of the league in their possession. It might not be in their pocket just yet, but they got it right here. Anthony Edwards is like, keep playing with my name. And I love to see that because he's the biggest competitor, in my opinion, in the league right now. Biggest competitor.
Absolutely. Hand me my opponent, essentially, as a wise man by the name of Lil Wayne once said. Hey, shout out to Paolo Banchero becoming the second youngest player to score 50.
That's another one.
Behind LeBron. Hey, yeah, he one of them ones. He need a little bit of help around him, but he one of them ones. All right, he one of them ones. So shout out to him for doing that. Tonight, as far as tonight goes, Chet Holmgren and Wemby tonight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be tapped into that for sure. Back and forth between game 5 and that. Also, hey, gr- having a great pod. Pick of the day: Pistons 76ers over 219. I think it's at 220 right now. Over 219. It should cash. It's head to head. It's 4-1 in the last 5, so a little tidbit. That's the game I'll be. That's 2 games I'll be tapped in tonight. That 76ers game, just to see what happens. Paul George is still out, but I do think it'll be high scoring. And then the Wemby and Chet game, and then once again, shout out to Paolo Banchero. I want to switch it back to football, but this time college. I mean, hey, them boys in Miami still got the 0 in the loss column, and we're
Yes,
hosting
sir.
Duke this weekend. Damn near 20-point favorites at home versus the Blue Devils. I don't know what you're expecting, June, but let's take it to 9-0. This is week 10 at this point. We did crack the top 5 for the first time in since what, 2017, 2016, June.
2017. Yep.
Coming up on the finish line, coming up to playoff season, and hey, we're looking good. We're looking good. We're looking good. It's all about the U. Number 15, Boise State. Before that, Friday night, the first, number 15, Boise State does host San Diego State. Boise State 6-1 overall, undefeated in the Mountain West. Ashton Genchi still just doing the Lord's work, as I like to say. Saturday afternoon, 12 o'clock, number 4 Ohio State at number 3 Penn State. Ohio State 6-1 after that loss to Oregon. Penn State undefeated 7-0, 4-0 in the Big Ten.
Be a good one.
Ohio State on the road, 3.5-point favorites. Vegas is saying they are about a touchdown favorite. You know, in football, home team automatically gets 3 points. Vegas saying, yo, Ohio State's looking good. Do you agree, June?
I do. I think Penn State will put up a good fight for the majority of the game, not just a quarter or two. I think for the majority of the game, there will be a turning point in the game where Ohio State shows, I mean, we got these athletes over here for a reason. As long as Will Howard can keep himself composed and they can keep him protected from that, ferocious D-line over there Penn State has, Ohio State should be fine. Penn State, deservedly so, ranked number 4 in the country. We saw them struggle against USC. I think we'll see those struggles kind of get a little exposed by Coach Ryan Day and Chip Kelly over there in Ohio State.
Before we get out of college football and wrap the show up, I was talking to you earlier. There's a couple of teams that are ranked in the teens that are still undefeated. We got the Air Force and Army game, Army being 21, so a little outside of the teens, being 21 in the top 25, 7-0. If I'm not mistaken, yes, Iowa State hosting Texas Tech at home, number 11, Iowa State, also still 7-0. Number 13, Indiana, 8-0, is on the road at Michigan State. And last but not least, number 18, Pittsburgh, is on the road at SMU, number 20, SMU. That is Saturday night. Which one of these undefeated teams you think has the highest chance of losing this week, June? That's Pittsburgh.
Saturday night, ACC Network, 8 o'clock. SMU goes and gives Pittsburgh their first loss. I think Pittsburgh's had a great season for sure. But SMU, man, they've been the fun dark horse team of this ACC. The first year in the ACC, and they're surprising. They got that one loss. It was a close game though, and I think that they're coming to spoil Pittsburgh's fantasy season. So look forward to that.
Ooh, another news: Rudy Gay is retiring, man. After so many seasons in the NBA, Rudy Gay, Shams reports, is retiring. My shout out for the pod is going to be Lamine Yamal, bro. He scores in a shutout against Real Madrid in El Clasico. Against Mbappe. This kid is living a dream right now. He's balling. He's balling. He's balling, man. I can't imagine the pride and how proud he must be of himself. His family must be of him to be doing what he's doing. So shout out to Spanish national and Barcelona player Lamine Yamal. June, you got anything else before we get up out of here?
Shout out to listen. Shout out to the Dodgers, and shout out to Shohei Otani's injury, because I'm sure the narrative would be a bit different if Shohei didn't have this dislocated shoulder here. He's batting 133 in his first World Series, and it's quiet because they're up 3-1. But if they weren't up 3-1, and if he didn't get hurt, I think we'd have a little more serious discussion about Casper, the Japanese ghost, because where you been? And if Freddie Freeman wasn't over there, you know what I'm saying, carrying, we'd be looking at him a little questionable. But again, shout out to the Dodgers for carrying, and shout out to the injury for putting a bandage over, what's really going on. We'll talk about that after the World Series, which probably ends tonight. So shout out to the Dodgers.
Hey, shout out to Broward County that's in the World Series. I know you're not gonna let me end on nothing, in reference to a certain name, but shout out to Broward County. We got two players in the World Series right now, on the same team. All right, and we know what team that is because it's the end of the pod. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, as we cross over this hour 10 mark, this has been your Wednesday evening all things sports talk show on the All Things Sports Network. If you tuned in on the live, thank you so much for tapping in. If you're tapped in after the fact, we appreciate you for taking time out of your busy day. I'm about to go catch some basketball, some hockey, some a bunch of sports tonight, have some dinner. So y'all have a great night, and we'll